Okay, so following the workshop, the explanation of Patricia was so interesting that we wanted to make a little compliment to the video and talk about this book that is available at the gallery, Myth, Magic and Metaphor. Patricia Daly-Leip, who is a doctor and wrote many books. So my first question, so the first time we met, you told me about how you started writing history books. So could you tell us the story again of how...
I lived in Europe and I came back, and my first job was writing for a newspaper. And they had me answering the telephone, and the reporter was in a situation where there was some catastrophe, and they're speaking so quickly. And I'd been speaking French and Italian. And it's not that I can't speak English, I can, but they were from the South and they had Southern accents and I could not understand them. And I kept saying, please repeat, please. You can't repeat when you have a catastrophe in the background. So they put me in a different category. Where do you think they put me? Obituaries.
Oh, okay.
Obituaries. So my first job in the United States was writing obituaries and finding out about people's history. And history is biography. That's my whole idea of writing about history, is the personal perspective. Not who, what, when, and where, but why did this happen? Yeah. And the why comes from the personal perspective when you write about individuals in situations. Like, for example, my great uncle, who served the troops in World War I. He wrote letters to his sister, who was my grandmother. They're at the Georgetown University Archives, and in the letters he tells what he's seen. He's at the Battle of Picardy. When he came back from World War I, they made him the Patriot Priest of Picardy, and he was paraded down Pennsylvania Avenue. Then he went back to Europe and lived in Paris and helped the families, and the story goes from there. Well, ask me another question.
Yes. So then the newspaper came and asked you to start to recollect all your information and write books, right?
Yes. Well, this newspaper asked me to write articles about the history of La Jolla, California, where I used to live. I grew up on both sides of the country, in La Jolla and Washington, D.C. And I was writing about the history of La Jolla, and it was like being in college. I mean, every Friday you have to have a finished article. You know?
Yeah.
So the publisher came to me and said, can you make these articles into a book? And so that became La Jolla, a celebration of its past. And it went from there. People came, can you write about this? Can you write about that? And so, yes.
So how did you come then to write about something completely different? And because this is how I was surprised after we had this conversation about the history book and everything. And then I saw the book Myth, Magic and Metaphor, which is completely different topic.
Okay, I was living in Annapolis at one point in my life. I went to the Center of the Arts and in Annapolis, where I was going to just paint, because I also paint, and that's my painting on the cover. And I said, well, you have drama, you have music, you have art, but you know one thing you don't have at the Center for the Arts, Mommy, you don't have creative writing.
Mommy, I took 10 pieces of the horses. Can you go take 10 more? Okay.
And the dog too?
Huh?
And the dog too?
That dog?
Yeah, go take some pictures.
Mr. Dexter. So anyway, I said, you need to have creative writing, and they said, okay, Patricia, you teach it. And that's what I did. I had the class called Myth, Magic, and Metaphor. When I moved back to California, Richard Lederer had heard about it. I don't know if you've heard of Richard Lederer, but he has a thing called A Way with Words. He's written, as a radio program, he's written books about writing and language. And he said, Patricia, that class you conducted in Annapolis, you need to make that into a book.
Yes.
So it's thanks to Richard Lederer that I made my class into the book Myth, Magic, and Metaphor, and I put my painting on the cover. And the painting shows what you can do if you listen to your heart and what's inside of you, because I didn't plan the painting. I was doing plein air painting in southern France, and I put the extra paint on an empty canvas, and I turned the painting upside down when I was finished with all that extra paint, And there she was. The princess was in the paint. The unicorn was in the paint. And yes, I'd seen the original tapestry. You saw the copy of it in our house. I'd seen the original tapestry in France, and somehow it was in my brain, and it came out in the paint. And the only place I cheated was put the on the left. You can see there's a picture of the dragon. Anyway, the unicorn represents creativity, which is good. But he can't see the dragon who's lurking in the woods, and he represents evil. So the princess has the mirror there, so the unicorn can see his reflection, but he can't see beyond that to the evil lurking in the woods. So the good and evil. The good is creativity.
And it's also the balance also.
Yes, the balance.
Yes, because you love horses,
yes.
And the unicorn represents like all the magic that the
magic
magic
is the
aspect
key
of the horses. And so that's so incredible. This is why I really wanted to come today and do this, because opening the book just this morning, I was talking about how this concept and the magic and this intuition is just timeless and beyond words. And the first thing I open the book, and the first thing I read is so there are steps to achieving inspiration according to the Buddha. Inspiration being the state of nirvana. However, the inspiration itself is beyond words. And so that was very funny that I read that today when I was writing this morning, and your references like Joseph Campbell, like really so many synchronicities.
I was able to go to one of his lectures before he died in California.
Wow.
And my mother lived in Paris between World War I and World War II. And when I wrote the book about my mother's life in Paris, I put Joseph Campbell in that book.
Yeah.
Because he was there at the same time.
And you talk about music too as well. And what I love about Joseph Campbell and most of the anthropologists that have actually made all this research about religions or cultures all around the world is that they all like connect all the fields together. The music, the science, the mathematics. You talk about mathematics in there too. The arts and the history, and this is what I thought was interesting, like the wide range of topics that you cover in this book, because everything just connects together.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Some of my quote students were actually professors from the Naval Academy, and the first thing that I say is there are no rules.
Yes,
the Naval Academy, no rules. What?
Yeah.
But they stuck with me, and they understood what I was talking about. One professor signed up for 3 of my classes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's not how do you do this, but just do it. Listen to what's inside. It takes courage to listen. Now, what's the etymology of the word courage?
Care.
Yes.
Heart.
Care. Heart. So to listen to your heart, yes, it takes courage, but let it happen. Allow it to go and flow.
So myth, magic, and metaphor. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.